Hey, welcome to your service learning orientation. I'm glad you can join me. I am Dawn Rhodes. I am the service learning program coordinator here at Mesa Community College. And during this orientation, I hope to answer, all the questions you may have about service learning. We're going to go over the paperwork that's required, some benefits of service learning, and the partnerships and going to an approved community partner. So sit back and relax. I also want to say that this orientation is for those who are in an education, either an EDU or an EED class that is incorporating service learning in your course. So if you're not in any of those prefixes, this is not the orientation for you. So you'll want to stop right now and go listen to the other orientation. So again, this is for the EDU, EED prefix classes. And let's jump in. So first we're going to do is actually go here and we're going to talk about what service learning is and some of the things that you need to know about it. And so what I'm going to actually do is jump into the paperwork that you would find on our department's website under forms. So in your packets that you can either download on our forms page, which I'll just show you, here's our website, our department. I clicked on the forms tab, and then this one is the service learning packet for EDU and EED prefixes. So I've already loaded it. And so when you're going to go ahead and submit the paperwork, I have typed out these instructions. So there's going to be 3 forms that you're going to submit to me. The first 2 before you start your service, and then the contact log at the end. You are going to submit these to the servicelearning@mesacc.edu email, or you can fax it at the number listed on those instructions. It's really important, though, when you send any communication that you include the subject line of the course name, the section number, and your instructor's last name. That way we know what class you're referencing and what class we need to submit those paperwork and file them through. PDFs are definitely preferred, and as you see on that instruction, here's some resources to make your documents PDFs. JPEGs just don't really turn out so great, so please do your best to get those as PDFs to us. Do not include these instruction pages that I'm going to go over, including this one I'm just scanning. So again, any questions, you can email us at the Service Learning, or you can go to Cranium Cafe. We do have some of our staff using Cranium and hopping on. So again, this orientation is for the EDU, EED prefixes. So what is service learning? Service learning is a teaching and learning method that combines meaningful service to the community with academic instruction. Well, what does that mean? Well, your instructor wants to break down their classroom walls, or their virtual classroom walls at this point, and get you out into the community, experiencing and tying in what he or she is attempting to teach you in the course. Because what's the best way most people learn? Hopefully you said hands-on or by doing, because yes, that is the best way most people learn, is hands-on by doing. And your instructors realize that, and that's why they have built it into these EDU and EED courses. They realize the best way to develop teachers, or the skills that they're teaching the class, is to offer this component. So that's our definition. Then areas of focus are critical thinking and problem solving. Do you think it's important you know how to think critically and solve problems? Values clarification. What do you value? What does society value? Especially as it relates to education, and education in Arizona. Career exploration. This is your chance to explore if you really do want to be a teacher, and or maybe what grade you want to teach. Honestly, I love when students go through, for instance, Intro to Education, they get to go and do their service, and then they realize, I don't want to be a teacher, because it's not all what it's cracked up to be. So I do love that, and why not be thankful that your instructors incorporate it now, so you learn that, versus down the road after you spent all these time in classes, and maybe first time you got into the classroom was during your student teaching years. Also, a lot of our students will end up with full or part-time jobs as a result of their service learning. We even had one time a student, the teacher all of a sudden had to go on emergency maternity leave, and the principal went to that student and was like, "Hey, can you take over the class?" And the student's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. I'm actually just in, at Mesa Community College, just in my first year or two of service learning and taking classes." And they're like, "You really are? Man, you're on top of it." And that's to just show how awesome our instructors are at preparing you to be in the classroom. Social and personal development, oh, that's my favorite, because you as the individual usually will change because you're impacting the lives of those you're serving with. Civic and community engagement, that's my favorite. And that's actually one of the reasons why higher education was founded. It was to create an engaged and enlightened citizen, someone who wants to, make a difference out in the community. And during this course, hopefully you'll see the difference that you're making, how you can be engaged. There is the definition of civic engagement and community engagement. Also, our department contact information. Obviously, this semester we're not on campus. We are remote. Yet, when we are on campus, this is the location of where you can find us at the Southern Dobson or the Red Mountain campus. So you're going to be submitting some forms that I'm going to be walking through. Some of the sites require a fingerprint clearance card, which I'll talk about more, yet we do have some information on our website about them. This first column really is any of the placement steps that you'll need to do in the paperwork. So everything that I'm going to cover, if you're like, "What did she say?" you can refer back to these this page and this column, and it should give you guidance that you could read as far as, again, everything that I'm saying. Service learning assistance. We would love to have a student leader, one of you, step up into the class. If your instructor is going to use one, he or she will promote this during, like in your Canvas as an announcement to say, "Yes, I would love to have a service learning assistant in my class." And basically what you're going to be doing is helping, remind students of due dates, cheerleading them if they need assistance, and helping them, maybe navigating and connecting to my office. It is an awesome service learning service and leadership opportunity. So I hope that kind of sparked a little interest. So you're like, "Ooh, I kind of want to be my teacher's helper." Think of it like a TA or, an assistant in the classroom. That's what you get to do, and you get to connect to our office and work with me. So yay! So that's that. Certificates, just because I'm seeing it now, I don't want to be remiss in saying this during the orientation. You will get a certificate at the end of your service learning for completing your projects. Yet you must serve at an approved school or agency. So I'll say school, agency, site. That is the placement you're going to do your service, because these are for EDU and EED prefixes. Predominantly your location will be a school. So must serve an approved site, must submit all the paperwork that we're going to talk about. And then third, they're only issued in your primary service learning class. So again, serve at approved site, submit all your paperwork, and they're only issued in your primary service learning class, which we'll talk about. However, these are great to have for your portfolios. Going back to that career exploration, let's say you're applying for a job and they said, "Hey, show me what teaching experience you have. When have you worked in a classroom?" And you're like, "Great. In my intro to education class at Mesa Community College, I completed 30 or more service learning hours, and I worked at this school doing these kind of things, and these are the skills I gained. And look, here's a certificate that documents my hours." Versus a question they probably won't ask yet, "What was the grade you got on your last math test?" So see how you can use this in your career, in your real world, real life experience. You'll want to keep those certificates because they are hands down valuable. And I can tell you, when the College of Education, specifically like at ASU, is accepting applications, because students will reach out to me saying, "Hey, Dawn, I lost my certificate. My dog peed on it. My house burned down." Doing this almost over 19 years, I've heard a lot of different reasons why people don't have their certificates. I'm not going to guarantee that I can remake your certificate. So you will want to make sure you keep these certificates safe. Can you say safe? Safe, yes. So I'm going to actually scroll back up. So we're going to talk about partners. Then this telephone protocol, this is a guide if you have to call your agencies you're going to serve at. Most of them you won't. Some of them you're going to submit forms. So we're going to go through that. Yet it's really important that when you go to these agencies or call them or these schools, that you know you represent yourself, your instructor, our department, and the college. So you don't want to ruin it for any other student who may come after you. So what that will look like is, hi, I'm Dawn. I'm in an intro to education class at Mesa Community College. I get to do 30 hours of service. Do you have an opportunity for me? Versus, hi, I'm Dawn. I have to do 30 hours of service. Can you get me in? Hopefully you don't do that second one, because we've actually had students placed in the court-ordered community service programs as a result of calling that way. So you want to let them know you're doing this for an academic component. If you are following me so far, give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, let's keep going. Why would you want to participate in service learning? I really think this box here is a snapshot of the benefits you can gain from service learning. What you put into this experience is what you're going to get out of it. So if you want it to be a boring, dumb, stupid assignment that you just get done, it will be just that. Yet if you're like, I want to make a difference, I want to learn all that I can, I want to apply what my instructor is teaching me, then it will be that. And then as you see, there's all those other benefits. Scan them. Which ones stand out to you? Awesome. If you want to expand your service learning from what you're required to do in your course currently, you can, and you can earn a 1, 2, or 3 credit hour class. If you're interested, talk to your instructor, come see our office, visit the website on it. It's just under our service learning independent module. There is some other paperwork that you would complete, and you would register for it through our office like you would any other class, and you would pay for that credit. So that's just a little bit of glimpse there. Making a difference grants. We have money not to pay you, yet to support your service learning project. So let's say what would you do if you had an extra $100, because that's what individual grants are funded up to do an activity or a project in the class you're working in? Do you think a teacher is going to turn you away in accepting that $100 if you said, hey, is there an activity or a lesson I can teach if I had an extra $100? Most often they're not going to turn you away. And how we fund these is thank you. If you've ever lost anything at Mesa Community College and never claimed it, we have probably sold it or will sell it in our annual Lost and Found sale. So that's how we fund them. Well, joking aside, yet seriously, if you do lose something at Mesa Community College, did you know you should go to college police and ask them if it's been turned in? And they will have record if it has or has not been turned in. So again, the grants, those will be, the form and application is also on our website on this forms page that I'm showing you, that I had showed you previously. So that is there. So I encourage you to apply. So the key is to apply early, not spend any money till you're approved, and then use the funds. So pretty cool thing. There are more scholarships and awards for you as students than there ever has been before. So the key is keeping your ear to the ground, learning, enhancing your, resume and stuff. And this service learning does enhance your resume, does enhance your scholarship applications. Document those, keep track of it. So we have some listed on our website. I really encourage you to visit our website and the college's website under scholarships for the various scholarships that are available. Schools selection process. I'm going to dive into that actually here in a little bit. So then we're going down to paperwork. So back up to that. If you forget anything I say during the orientation, you can refer to that sheet. So all the pages previous, you will not submit to me. including this letter. This letter you should actually complete and give to your cooperating teacher. That way they can get a hold of you, your instructor, or our department if they have any questions or concerns. I do not want this form back or the other previous forms. This letter, leave with them. Got it? Got it. Okay, so filling in all the blanks. Now, these forms you will turn in before you start your service. So the placement confirmation form. This is like your contract between you and the school you're serving at to say when you're going to be there and what you commit to doing. It is so important that it first and foremost meets your course objective of when you're setting up your responsibilities. Second, it's something you're comfortable and able to do. And third, does meet a need of the community. So on the form, it asks for some information. Please, 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 please fill in the header or all those lines and all those fields, because I will get a ton of service learning paperwork. And if I don't have your MEID or your student ID, then I might not be able to quickly in a timely manner get those connected to the correct class. If you have more than one class incorporating service learning, so let's talk about primary versus secondary classes. So let's say Joe, he's in EDU 221 and EDU 230. So EDU 221, it requires 30 hours of service. EDU 220 requires 20 hours of service. So that looks like he should be doing 50 hours of service. Well, not necessarily. As long as Joe goes and serves at a school, so Intro to Education requires you to serve in a P12 classroom setting. Cultural Diversity requires you to serve in a culturally diverse classroom setting. So as long as he's doing his service, he only needs to do a max of 30 hours. So the 30 plus the 20s, the max of 30. So he will list his classes. So his EDU 221, then the EDU 230 class, and then if he has another one. Yet service learning, this is really key, is not about putting in a ton of hours. It's really about the learning that occurs while you're serving. So during your class, you're going to have some discussions or things your instructor's teaching. You're like, oh my gosh, I experienced that at my class, or oh my gosh, that's what my teacher's teaching me, and now I'm like applying those skills. So you'll have other assignments and things to do in those respective classes. Yet as far as service learning, as long as your service can relate for both classes, you only have to do the maximum of the highest class. So typically we do say your primary service learning class is the class that requires the most hours. So really important that you complete these forms and list all the classes that have a service learning component. Then you will list the school you're doing your service at. Then whatever the hours are. So again, I already talked about responsibilities a little bit, that they first and foremost must meet your course objectives. So again, EDU 220, serving in a, 221, serving in a P12 classroom setting. EDU 230, serving in a culturally diverse classroom setting. EDU 220, serving in a classroom with English language learners. There's the exceptional learner class, that working with a class that has at least one exceptional learner, down to the early education, EED 221, working in a below the kindergarten classroom setting. So whatever your course objective is, it must first and foremost meet that course objective. The second is something you're comfortable and able to do. So if I used to say, hey Joe, tomorrow I need you to go create a lesson and teach everyone everything, like these letters and these numbers in Spanish. And if Joe's like, I don't speak Spanish at all, that might not be something he's comfortable and able to do. So then he might say, hey, I don't know those numbers and letters now. Can I get a little time to brush up on them? Because I'm pretty sure I could learn them real quick if you wanted me to teach and create an activity. And then third, does meet a need of an agency. So if a teacher did say, hey Joe, here's this stack of tests. Can you go grade these tests? Yeah, because as future teachers, do you think you'll be grading tests? Well, yeah. Yet you don't want to be doing that for the full time. Hint, go back up to that letter that I showed you and make sure you read it before you submit it, because the education faculty have actually created that letter to really emphasize what they want you as students to gain out of this experience. Okay, so make sure you read that letter, setting up these responsibilities, the day and times. So when you schedule, because you're going to reach out to the school that you're going to do your service at. And again, we're going to talk about schools because depending on how you reach out, should reach out to them initially is really important. And then you're going to negotiate when you are available to serve. So it needs to make sure it's a good fit, because if when you say you're available to serve, if they're at lunch and recess, do you think that's a good fit? Probably not, because you need to be in a P12 classroom setting. And you really want to establish this like you're doing a class, because unfortunately you're not really able to cram service learning. I'll admit, I was a college student once, and I did do my papers either real late at night. Mine, typically, I'd get up super early in the morning to complete them or complete my assignment. Yet service learning, you want to spread it out throughout the semester. That's really where the best learning and is going to occur, and the experience is going to occur. So set it up like you would a class. Let's scroll down. So the agreement of conduct. It is really important that you read through this agreement of conduct. As I already mentioned, you represent more than just yourself at these schools that you're going to serve at. You represent your instructor, our department of the college, so you don't want to ruin it for any other students. It talks about showing up when you say you're going to show up, doing what you say you're going to do. It talks about attire. Find out what is appropriate. Some schools are uniform schools, so they even require you as a student to, fit that uniform mold. Yet always avoid the 3 B's. That's no boobs, no butts, no bellies. We want to cover those up. Okay, so again, finding out what's appropriate. I recommend the first time you go, dress to impress, and then say, hey, what do I need? What is appropriate to wear? So again, avoid those 3 B's. I'll just give you an example. Luckily, knock on wood, doing this over 19 years, I've had very few schools reach out to me. Yet I had one teacher say, hey, Susie is no longer welcome to serve at my school. I need her pulled out of my classroom right now because she just is really hindering the learning of my students. And I was like, okay, what is she doing? Well, every day she'd walk in, she'd put herself down on the desk, she'd be working with the small group, helping them. Her phone would go off, she'd pick it up and leave. The teacher talked to her about her behavior and that it wasn't appropriate. Yet it kind of continued for a few more days, and the teacher's like, you know what, enough's enough. I don't want to deal with that. So please make sure, I would suggest leaving your cell phone, your valuables or whatever in the trunk of your car. Don't bring them in if you really don't need them. So really important that you read this agreement of conduct. And then the next thing is you will sign and your mentor or teacher will sign. Really important that you know that you're signing to say, I agree to these things. They're agreeing to mentor you. I need these signatures completed before you start your service. This photo release is optional. If you take photos, make sure you keep in mind what else is in the photo with you, because if I have other people, besides the back of their heads that you're not noticing, distinguishing who they are, then I might need their photo release too. So you're going to turn this form in before you start your service with the 2 required signatures. The photo release is optional. Sticking with me? If you are, do a little stretch. Okay. Now, the next form. This form is so important. If I get no other form, I still need the other forms, yet if I get no other form, I need this form. This is the assumption of risk and release of liability. I need you to understand that you are liable and responsible for yourself as well as the safety of those you're working with. So the first line is your name. You're going to print your name. The second line is your agency or school you're doing your service at. And as you can see to the right of it, I've already included the dates. This is the whole semester, the very first day of the semester to the very last day of the semester. This is not when your hours are due. I just did put these dates in for your sanity as well as my sanity. So make sure that you, name, agency, you will read, and then you will sign and date this. This one takes no one else's signature unless you're under 18, and then you need a parent or a legal guardian to sign it. So as I mentioned, you need to think safety for yourself as well as the safety of those that you're working with. We ask that you're never left alone with children or vulnerable populations. So if Mrs. Smith says, "Hey Joe, you are doing awesome in my classroom. I need to run to the restroom. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Are you cool?" "Hey, thank you, Mrs. Smith, for trusting me with your kids. I need you to get the teacher next door. I need you to take the kids with you or bring another employee here. I just should not be left alone with children." Yeah, are you an adult and could probably handle? Absolutely. You're just not the certified staff to, keep track of them. Can you maintain the civility and that teacher next door, just kind of pops in and out? Absolutely. Yet we just ask that you're never left alone with children or vulnerable populations. And if things ever start to become unsafe, stop it and say, "Hey, things are not safe. What can we do to change this?" So let's say little Susie starts to jump up on the table like, "Hey Susie, let's get down and, change out what you can." Okay, so this one gets turned in before you start your service along with your confirmation form. So before you start your service, I need those 2 forms. And remember, the very top page gave you those instructions that I need them sent to the service learning at mesacc.edu email with the subject line and as PDFs. Okay. Last form. This is your contact log. This is where you're going to track when you were there and what you were doing. And I know this semester service might look a little different because it's virtual, yet it's still the same thing. Those teachers and you are all learning new skill set on how to teach virtually. So you might get, to do, different, one-on-one small groups, different things depending on how they're structuring their class. Service learning, there is a column for observation. However, service learning is not observation. Yeah, you might observe, you might sit in the classroom a time or 2, yet we really want you actively participating, actively helping, actively assisting, not taking over, not telling the teacher how to run his or her classroom, yet assisting. However, if they do have you observe the first time or 2 so they can get a feel of for you and you can get a feel for them, great, document it. Yet we don't want you to spend your full time just sitting back in the classroom observing or sitting back behind the computer observing. We want you actively helping, whatever that looks like. Please note at the very bottom, it tells you the very, very last line of the instructions on this key, how to document your hours. It is so important for your math and my math sanity that you do it this way. So please read that. So let's talk about agencies you can do your service at, because we've mentioned a lot that there's a lot of different stuff. So I'm going to go to our department's website, and if you scroll down to service sites, so I'm already here. And as I mentioned, that page above in the packets, it already had all the instructions. They also are listed here too, in case you didn't have your paperwork with you. Yeah, let's jump in, and I'm going to walk you through it. You're going to click on that blue, access the database. Everyone's going to sign in as a guest. So you'll sign in as guest. Do not use your MEID and password. You're going to sign in as a guest and click OK. And it's going to pull you up here. I'm just going to show you this because right now it's on the Agency Partners tab. I'm going to click Perform Search Now. This is probably where you will not start yet. I'll just show you it because it's just a long laundry list of all of our community partners. It's not exclusive to schools, and really is not many of the schools. So it just kind of gives you, an idea of how this works. Just a laundry list. So let's go back. I'm going to click Return to Search menu, and then I'm going to go to the school base. So let's spend actually a little more time here. Click Perform Search Now. And each of the school districts are as different in their placement processes as you and I are different. And as you can see, some of the schools this semester are going to have a limited capacity of service learning. Some might, when you call, end up not having availability at all. So the sooner you can jump on finding your school, the better. If you need assistance in finding a school, shoot an email to that service learning, and myself or one of the coworkers will assist you. And again, the placement processes are as different as you and I, and you must serve an approved community partner, and you must follow their placement process. So let's look at, for instance, Mesa Public Schools. You're going to click on Mesa Public Schools, and it's going to give you all the instructions of what you need to do. So if you're planning to serve 60 hours or less in this semester, you should not need to be fingerprinted or provide a fingerprint clearance card. If you're going to do 61 hours or more this semester, then you will need a fingerprint clearance card. And as you see, there are forms you need to complete, and their links are attached on the outside of this, which I'll re-show you. The links are attached, and that's, there it is there. So really important that you look for your school. And as you see, it actually opened up to like the 36th school. So you can scroll back to get up to the very first if you didn't see it. And there's also this toolbar here. So I use this toolbar in my toolbars tab, and then, or I could scroll up here to get up, because mine just happened to open up down below. So again, really important, you should not need a fingerprint clearance card if you're doing 60 hours or less, yet there is additional forms. The Education Studies faculty, and team are really working to create partnerships with certain schools who really want our students. So I highly encourage you to work with those schools, because they know they want our students and they know what our instructors expect. Yet if you choose to serve at a different school, that's why I'm going through these. Let's look at, so as I said, here's the links to those forms that were mentioned in there. Chandler schools. So you will click Chandler if you want to serve at Chandler schools. If you wish to serve there, you actually will make your placement to me. I will get it back, send it off to them, and then they will get back with me with your assignment. However, I am not even able to take your placement request without you having your IVP fingerprint clearance card. You must have the IVP fingerprint clearance card with your placement request in order for me to make that request. So really important, again, to read the instructions, and please do not circumvent them. Chandler schools, I actually had a student who bypassed all this instructions. She was told she needed to connect with me. She's like, I already have a placement. I'm not going to do that. And unfortunately, the school district decided to say, hey, Susie, you're not able to follow our instructions. You are not able to serve here this semester. And unfortunately, as you won't be able to ever get a job here because we've red flagged you. And I was like, oh. So that's why I just really emphasize it's really important that you follow the placement processes. So several of the school districts, you actually make your request to me and I send off to them. There's the form that you would complete. So again, every school that we have current partnerships with are listed here. If you wish to serve at a school that's not listed in the database, you can work to add them. You will email me, and it can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 years to add them. So you have to decide if for this class or your class's experience, if it's really advantageous if you add them, because it might not be. However, you might say, hey, I'm going to work to add them for the next semester or for the next students. Cool? Okay, so that's the school base. Let me show you the one other tab, the by category. So I'm going to click Perform Search Now. This is an application within the web, so things are a little bit different in here. So you actually will go ahead and click the Create a Find Request. right here. Create a find and submit. So I'm going to put it in here. So let's say you want to know what is available to you by where you live, by where you work. I'm just going to put this zip code of the Southern and Dobson campus of 85202. Because this is an application within the web, hitting enter really will not work. Hopefully you see this top yellow toolbar, and on my right, so hopefully still your right, there is this button that says continue. You want to click it. So I'm going to hit continue, and it pulled up 12 opportunities in the zip code 85202. Not all of them are schools, so you want to kind of make sure you pay attention to that. Yet as you see, because like the Rose Garden, that's not going to help you meet your course objectives. Oh, Adams Elementary School. That's just down the street from there. So sometimes they have a description, they have sometimes service opportunities, and if they have requirements, they're going to be listed there. Okay. So let's do another example. Let's say, so I'm going to go to the by category, perform search now. And remember, I got to click this create, find, and submit. I want to search by a school's name. So I'm going to put in Adams because I want to see if Adams Elementary is in there. Remember, do you hit enter? No. You need to click that yellow toolbar or the continue on the yellow toolbar. Oh, look, Adams is in there. Great. And really important, do you see these eyes that say look? Really important. If you go and find agencies, you want to make sure it's marked available. If it's marked closed, there is a reason why it's closed and you are not able to serve there. So if you see one you want to serve at and it's closed, shoot me an email and I will tell you why it's closed and if you can serve there or not. Cool? So yeah, that's a few ways you can use the search by category as searching name, searching zip code, things like that, maybe even cross streets. So let's actually hit cancel, return to search. So that is the schools, that is the database. Again, you must serve an approved community partner. You must follow their placement process. So let's go ahead and look at a couple other options on our website. I'm going to move me over here. MCC serves. This probably will not serve you and help you find a placement yet. If you want to just volunteer because you had extra time, we have events that our agencies need for volunteers for. So this is MCC serves, and then they're broken down by months. So we're adding to these all the time. So just kind of look for them. There's that cleanup day. So that's one. Then virtual service opportunities. All of these are under our events. Our events and opportunities link on our website here on the left tab. So some of our sites and some of the schools are offering virtual experiences. And so even though they might not be here, most of the schools have the virtual component to their classroom. One I'll point out that is not quite on here yet is actually back up to the schools. The Boys and Girls Club, they are doing on-site tutoring labs. So if it meets your course objectives, that's a really cool opportunity. So again, these are some of the virtual ones where currently the agencies have said, yes, we have a virtual experience. So there is that. As I mentioned, there are a lot of awards available to you as students and a lot of scholarships. Let's see. So we have gone through, let me go back to the paperwork and make sure I covered everything. So let's see. I think I did. So to recap, you find the place you're going to serve at. You follow their placement instructions. If it's either submitting your request to me, submitting it to a district contact, reaching out to an individual principal, submitting separate extra forms or whatnot. You will meet them. You will bring this paperwork to have them fill out your confirmation form and agreement of conduct. So you're agreeing to. And again, if you're not meeting with them in person, you'll send these forms to them by email to fill out and sign and get back to you. And then you're going to send them back to me. You're going to turn in the confirmation before you start your service, the assumption risk before you start your service. Then you're going to be serving. You're going to be tracking your hours, when you were serving, what you were doing. And then when you're done, you're going to have them evaluate you. Actually, I didn't mention this part. Really important that you add closure. Can you say closure? Closure to your service learning. Hey, Mrs. Smith, I've really enjoyed serving with you. I am done with my hours. Can you take a few minutes to evaluate me? This is part of your grading and stuff, so you will want to make sure you complete this. And this contact log and this evaluation, that's the other reason, or that's another way form I need to make sure I make your certificate. Again, to get your certificate, must serve an approved site. You must submit all your paperwork, and it's only issued in your primary service learning class. So this evaluation is really key. And it's also cool is, besides just adding that closure, it shows you how well you're doing or areas that you need to improve upon. I highly encourage you to keep a copy of this contact log. That way, going back to that interview, besides you showing them the awesome certificate you're going to get, you can say, and look, this is actually what my supervisor or my cooperating teacher said about me. And this is how she rated me. If it's not so great comments or reviews, then you can check yourself and be like, where do I need to improve upon? And then work to get better at those skills that they say that you need help on. So with that, I hope I've answered all your questions. I hope you're excited about your service learning experience, because this really gives you a hands-on chance to experience what your instructors are teaching you in his or her class. And remember, what you put into this is what you'll get out of it. So I hope you make it a great semester. Again, I'm Dawn Rhodes. I'm the Service Learning Program Coordinator here at Mesa Community College.